With your baby, it's your boy DJ Tronn, and we got my OG here, Quenn Echols. Man, how you living today,
I'm
man?
good, bro. What's happening
I'm
with
blessed,
you,
man. I can't complain.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Living in the dojo. Okay, that's I like that. That's different.
Yeah.
That's different. That's different.
You know, just like I said, there's a little play on, where I live at whatnot. But
Okay.
I ain't gonna take up too much of your time. You know, I know you're a mogul and you doing your thing.
Well,
You know,
I don't know if
radio
I'm a mogul. I might be a mo. I don't know about the GUL part. I'm trying to fill in the blank on the other part.
To Shreveport you are. You know what I mean?
Thank
especially
you.
to me.
Blessings.
You know what I mean?
Blessings.
So
That's good.
can we get into it though? Can we just start from the beginning?
You caught me right after work.
So you still on the fresh, still fresh to you.
Yeah.
So who is Quenn Echols?
Oh, wow. He is a believer in God. He is a proud father of two.
Come on now.
He has been up until here recently, and RIP to my mom, an only child that was spoiled even to the, up to the day she passed. I was a grown only child. He is, I guess, he is a broadcaster.
Okay.
And he is a entrepreneur.
Come on now. Okay. So that's
I was trying to decide how I was going to say that. I normally say that to people like on the phone or something like that normally. But so and obviously there's some other things in between that, but that's what I would say.
Okay, I see.
That's a great question.
I like that. So everybody, well, I don't say everybody, but the people that's important know who you are as a to Shreveport.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But for the listeners, we know you as the program director of 103.7
and 102.1.
And 102. Come on now, that's big right there. See now.
And actually, back in the day, even believe it or not, even Cam JJ years ago.
For real? Oh, see, now you dropping gems on me now. I ain't know nothing about that. So you really been? How long have you been in the radio game?
Oh Lord, basically since 1979, 80.
19 in the 80s. So you was really coming around when, like, hip hop first kind of started.
Yes, I saw it. I saw it. I lived it. I was on the air when all that was happening. I remember having a conversation. I was not in management at that point. I was, an announcer back home in Dallas Fort Worth, and I remember us having a meeting, and it was the sound. So the term underground had not necessarily been established, but it was being mentioned in that term that, well, it's in the norm of what we've been doing and what I'm leading up to. Because hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, all that had already happened. That had already happened. And that was a big. I mean, I saw a phenomenon happen during those days at a club. It would be like the R&B that you knew that we were kind of partying to back then, the Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff, Commodores, just all those groups, Parliament. And then all of a sudden, here's this group, and it's like, what is this? And they just rap into the, my goodness, so everybody was going crazy to that. All right, the club. So your impression of that is true. And I saw that happen at home for sure as well. But what I'm bringing up radio-wise was that we had this phenomenon that was happening because we had gotten used to that lane. The rappers were kind of in that same band. We can dance, we can party, and we're gonna do this, and all the girls gonna be. And it was that thing. But all of a sudden, this other thing was coming. And they were calling it gangster rap.
So wait. So I'm sorry, just cut you off. So the part you're talking about is like when you say the other thing coming for gangster rap is like the Sugar Hill Gang and stuff
Sugar Hill Gang jumped it off. Okay, that jumped it off. There's no question, hands down. I can speak of that. I experienced it, saw it firsthand. It was, like I said, it would stop the clubs.
Okay.
You had to play. It's kind of like now you had to play Sugar Hill 3-4 times during the course of the night because the crowds were literally just waiting on that to be played.
Okay.
I mean, so it goes from there, from Sugar Hill Gang to maybe I'm trying to think of names. My mind's just going blank for a second. But that whole genre back then, Curtis Blow, and my mind's kind of hidden, and that whole sound. But so we had gotten used to the hip hop, the hibbity hop, and everything was kind of in that same vein. But that's what I'm saying. Then all of a sudden, this other thing was coming, and it was like, what do you do with this? And they were very raw. It was very in your face. And me as a broadcaster, I'm thinking, how are we going to play this, but it's jamming. It's like so hidden at that point. And like I said, I remember having to have a sit down because I was the younger one of the crew. And I said, so what is this? And like, do we need to play this? I said, y'all want me to tell you the truth or be, politically correct? And I told them, I said, man, I don't know what this thing is, but if we just got to cherry pick it and edit it as best we can, we got to play at least one of those NWA songs. I remember that like yesterday. And of course, we know what happened with all of that.
Man, it took off.
Just that whole thing. But yeah, so yeah, from 79, 80 to, I saw that whole genre. I saw Michael Jackson blow up. Man, I got stories. You have to slow me down. I got stories.
Hey, I let you talk all day, me.
The day that okay, so when the hair caught on fire, and I'm not trying to be funny, but that did happen. So he was calling around the country, thanking certain radio stations for still supporting him. And I happened to get the call. And it was one of those moments in your career that, if you've ever been in a radio station, which I know you have, the phone's ringing and all that kind of stuff, requests, whatever. And I, hit the line and, they said, can you hold? Michael Jackson wants to talk to you. I'm sure Michael Jackson wants to talk to me. Yeah, whatever. Right kind of thing. And he comes on the phone. It's Mike. And we talk on there for probably about 10 minutes.
Is it a deep voice, Mike, or are you hearing the light?
No, because it's light, but it's kind of in the middle. It's kind of in the middle.
Okay.
It's kind of in the middle. But he was in conversation mode. He was not in performance mode. If you know how I'm saying.
He not.
Yeah, nah, he ain't hot. He was just, I just wanted to thank you. I listen to you guys every time I come to town, and this. And I'm sitting there tripping like, this is damn Michael Jackson on the phone. Ain't nobody gonna believe this. So it's one of those moments where, you want to call your mom, you're like, y'all, listen, Ray, I got Mike on the line, kind of things. So, yeah. But I got stories.
So
I'm sorry.
No, what age range was that like for you?
When that happened? Oh wow. Okay, so I started my radio career at 19.
Okay.
So when that happened, I would have been 20, because I think Mike and I are a year or two apart. So I'd have been 22, 3.
So you still got time. You got growth and
Lord,
but you have some experience in between us, like 3 years from when you started. Like, so you got a little bit more.
Oh no, I'm learning fast because being a major market in Dallas being a top 10 market in the country, you ain't have time to. No, you got to get in there.
Yeah. So
you got to do what you got to do. If not, you ain't gonna be home. It wasn't no play with that.
Was you a on-air talent first, or did you go straight into like production?
No. I was on air. I've been on air till I left Dallas the first time in the late 80s. I had been on the air. I didn't go into programming until I left Dallas, Fort Worth, and went to the Carolinas. So that would have been the late 80s. So no, I was on the air for a minute of that stint, and then got into programming when I left and went to the Carolinas, and came back in programming and that kind of thing.
So now in radio, we both know like it's a lot of ups and downs with that. So it being young.
Not to interrupt.
Go ahead, do that.
Because I think I know where you're going. Yeah. I mean, hey, I've told my staff for years that it wasn't always golden. I mean, shoot, man, I remember working for free. Yeah, started out. I worked the whole summer, and all I got was gas money. I know those stories. I know that whole thing. Yeah, no, it wasn't always. And I started at the late night shift. I did overnights.
Okay.
I started overnights. Being a major market, that's where you started. I mean, and but once again, if you to put it in perspective, because I always compared broadcasting a little bit to like athletics.
Okay.
So I play a little ball, but anyway, that's not so. But people don't know that. But so in a market, even Shreveport kind of, but things have changed now. So I don't want to confuse anybody. So back then you had a morning announcer, a midday announcer, an afternoon announcer, an evening announcer, and then an overnight announcer. Okay. Then you had a weekend staff, and that might be 2, 3, 4 people as well. Okay. They only work on weekends. So you're talking. So for the sake of conversation, let's say 10 slots, but it's really more like 8, 9. Okay. Okay, but let's go to these 5. That's only 5 jobs at that station. You better know what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. So you'll be on your P's and Q's with that. Dot your I's, cross your T's.
Oh, Lord. I remember I've only been let go. I've only been fired twice in my whole career. I know this, man. Thank you, Lord. And thank y'all. Thank you. Love you, Alpha Media. Y'all do this. But the first time I was fired, I was a kid. Okay. You know why I got fired?
What?
I was coming to work late. You know why I was running late? My head had got big. I'm a youngster on the radio in Dallas. It's top 10 market. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Was you Quenn Echols then?
Yeah.
Or did you have another name?
No.
You was Quenn.
Somehow or another, because I know what you mean. A lot of guys in radio take on a AKA Sir type name of something. But somehow or another, when the guys, the bosses, then they thought that my name actually fit radio. And so we went with it. So I started out Quenn on your weekend. And it went from Quenn on your weekend, then they gave me the full-time slot overnight. I stayed there till they fired me. So that was about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then they brought me back probably a year later, give or take. And it was all on a humbug. I mean, truthfully. So I did mention that I played a little ball. But I played a little ball.
Basketball, football.
Yeah, basketball.
Okay.
Man,
you little hooper.
I could shoot a little bit. So we had a basketball team that traveled around the area, the DFW area, and would play, little community games, raise money for people, the organizations play. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I still played on the team even after I got fired. They kept me on the team. That's what it was. And so, ironically, that spring came, and so I was still in contact with everybody. And they asked would I fill in for the crew that was on the air so they could take their vacation. So there's a morning drive, afternoon drive, midday, and evening. Okay, not overnight, but to 4 slots.
Okay.
So
you doing?
So 1 week I filled in. I did mornings. Then the next week I moved to middays. Next week afternoons. Next week. So it was for a month I'm back on the air. But there's no conversation going about what's up, right? But the way things had it, God had His way with it, and because my little while, but I can't necessarily take credit for it, if you know how I'm saying it. And man, God, it's funny. When you're young, you got a lot of pride and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I knew I was wrong, but you can't tell me. You can't pay me to take that. I wasn't gonna take that L. All right? You know what I'm saying? But that's so funny. I mean, you bring back memories. But anyway, so by the end of the second week, I remember like yesterday. I'm coming in, and some of the staff, secretaries, salespeople. So somebody pulled me to the side and says, "So you know they're talking about you, right?" And I'm like, so my first impression is, "Oh dang, what did I do? I must. Oh man, I gotta, just at first." And they said, "Don't be acting like you don't know. They finna talk to you." And I'm like, "Well, I have no idea," because someone had said anything to me really, except okay, next week you're gonna be, how you feel? But as they would come into the studio, "You all right? You want something?" I'm like, "I'm fine." It was different. It was different, but anyway, make a long story short. So by the end of the third week, management did come and said, "Look, we want to talk to you, but we're going to let the time work, ride out, and then we'll holler back at you." Okay, fine. And the end of that week, we have a big meeting, and it's the general manager, my program director, and the executive secretary, and okay. So what I didn't tell you is that company at that point in time was owned by Black Enterprise Magazine.
Okay.
All right. So they're on the line. All right. So it's basically a corporate meeting. So I'm like, okay. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, they are about to offer me something. But in my mind, understand, dude had fired me from overnight. Right. Right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to land back in overnight. Right? Or something like that. And that's good. That's a blessing. I'll take it.
Back in the game.
I'm grateful.
Right.
I'm back. I'm still at home. Understand, in media, it's not easy to get into the bigger market. It's hard as heck. And back then, there's talent everywhere. So, Black Enterprise Magazine, who wouldn't want to work for them?
Right, come on now.
And anyway, so we get to the meeting. And make a long story short, they offer me the afternoon drive spot at the radio station. And understand, during those days, that was the main shift. So they offered me my boss's shift. So I'm looking at him going, okay, this is a joke or whatever, but and I'm looking, he said, it's okay. I'm like, well, but so I went from basically the street, in a sense. I had a job, but and in 4 weeks, I leaped over all of that and landed afternoons in Dallas, Texas. At that time, number 8 market in the country. That's pressure.
All right.
That's pressure.
Ooh,
that's pressure.
And what age was this?
So I'm 24 by then, 25 maybe by then.
That's something. I know some people now that's older that's still trying to get in radio right now.
And it just but like I said, God had His way, and I can't tell you I was prepared for that, even though I guess I was.
It was prepped.
I got it, because I can look at things that happened along the way that I got prepped. Moments of when they would get on me about certain things, or moments when they'd have me go out and do certain things. I'm like, why do you kind of thing. And during those days, and radio was very, very different than it is now, in that it was nothing for artists to be in and out of the radio station like all the time. That definitely be in Dallas, It just, it was just a different time, a different world. But that happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you
I
said
know you didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that at all.
a lot of people don't know that part of the story, but
See, that's why we here. That's why we got trying to get the real.
Yeah.
But you said you went from Dallas to the Carolinas, right?
Went to Montgomery, Alabama first.
Okay.
Left Dallas, spoiled, Lord. But a good friend of mine, oh man, this story going. A good friend of mine suggested me. Okay. So it got to a point where, you know how they say, I guess the cream rises to the top or whatever kind of thing. And I don't try to say that about myself. But what I am saying to you, there was a group of us that were kind of broadcast-wise, radio-wise, was running the market. I'm a little prideful of being able to at least kind of say that a little bit. So then, okay, I ended up going across the street from where I actually had been. We kind of skipped over how I started. But so I go from the station that I spoke of that was in the afternoons. I left there and I go back to where I really started, which was K104.
Okay.
All right, so at that time, one of my radio gurus, I have a few of them, but the one was this guy named Tom Joyner. So people think, if they don't know me career-wise, and they think, we're just picking this name that everybody knows, that was, but no, Tom and I were good. I used to run and go get chicken at the church's chicken when I was a kid. That story, that was for Tom and that crew. I was the gopher. I'd go get the chicken. So when he left and came back from Chicago and was about to he had become the fly jock by now. Not syndicated, but fly jock. So you guys didn't still know him yet. In other words, around the country per se.
Okay.
But I go to K104. Anyway, make a long story short, it was like, okay, what are you about to do career-wise? And he was the one that said, well, there ain't no room. Because K104 staff was stellar. I'm on the other side fighting that. Now they got me over here, so it's like a packed house. So it's like, okay, what's going to happen? So, like I say, he put me and said, you might need to go to another market. Oh, it broke my heart at first. How you going to tell me I got to leave? But he was telling me that for my own good, so I could continue to grow. I didn't know that then that day. I went home. Tom told me I got to leave. I was devastated.
Yeah.
But it was the best advice I could have ever got from my career. Best advice. Because I left there, went to Montgomery, and I did nights in Montgomery. And I was the first night jock. It's a radio station in Montgomery called Hot 105. Okay. And it's a 100,000 watt radio station. So what that means is it covers almost 2/3 of Alabama. I mean, it's crazy. Land, so yeah, it's a massive signal. And I was the first nighttime jock, I believe, that they had brought in. And I left there with, this sounds crazy, but when you take it in percentages, like, my God. I left there with I think a 34 or 35 share.
Into the cup?
Of the market. So in other words, out of 3 people, one of those 3 were 2/3 of the state. So, come on. So I got offered a job while I was on the air. to leave and go to South Carolina to do mornings and the program while I was on the air.
So that was your first thing into programming right there?
Yeah, because the money sounded good. So, and so, yeah. So that's kind of how it started.
But by then, you said because you left Dallas to go, so, and then from there you go into the Carolina, but you had already kind of, again, been prepped in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm prepped. I know I got some skill.
Yeah.
I know I'm coming. I used to have a briefcase with some stuff. I still got a briefcase too at home. I hadn't opened in a long time. I used to call it my bag of tricks because there were certain things I had learned to do to create a show and some things, and that was what I guess was kind of at that moment my little shtick or my claim to fame, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, so that worked out real well. So by the time I got to Alabama, they just kind of like, just do what you do. Just here's a do you. And then, like I said, I got that offer, and it was weird. And it's like anything else. I think when you're in a cycle and you're kind of hot and your name's around in the industry, then people start hollering at you about whatever, kind of thing. So I go from the Carolina, and at one point I was literally, so this is the first time I got an experience of programming, but I ended up programming 2 stations at the same time.
Okay.
That was the thing. So that kind of, dang, he left that. And so you see how that progression was starting to happen?
Right.
But that never would have happened if I'd stayed at home. Because there's a lot of talent at home. Right. I was part of that culture. But, and I've often wondered, would I've ever became a program director if I had stayed at home? I know I could be on the air. That wasn't an issue too much. Wow. But it was, but man, understand the career during this time. My counterparts, people that I've worked with, I mean, the list has been phenomenal as far as their talent as well. So for me to be able to say I've been associated with them has been truly a blessing. Yeah, I mean, I could tell you some names. You'd be like, huh.
And you see these people in your
but Joyner was that was my kind of like my radio uncle.
To call him Tom Joyner.
Yeah. Now if he was in here right now, he'd start talking crazy and yelling my name and probably not telling me I can't shoot that ball no more, kind of thing. Yeah. But it's all in true respect and love. And between him and a guy by the name of Dwayne Dancer, and those two worked together. They came up together in Dallas to become the icon in the powerhouses of Dallas at one time. And I came up under that. So yeah, I tell people all the time, pretty much, I didn't have a choice but to learn if I was going to stay in the game.
Come on now.
And it's been a few others along the way. Another name you probably know is, because he did syndicated morning show as well, Russ Parr. Have you heard that name? Back in the day, he used to be a rapper called Bobby Jimmy and the Critter. It's a big butt breakdown. Yeah. I wonder if you ever remember. That just threw me back so many years ago. But he ended up becoming a radio announcer as well. Okay. And then he had a morning show. Well, he and I worked together at home in Dallas. Okay. My second stint back home, which is a whole nother thing. Yeah. But when I got to Shreveport,
I was about to ask you about that. How you get here?
Well, when I was in the Carolinas, one of my good friends, one of my boys, guy by the name of Jerry Williams, J-Dub. What's up, man?
Shout out to
you. He and I worked together in the Carolinas. Then he left, and he was from Louisiana originally, and he ended up coming to Shreveport. He had worked in Shreveport previously, and so left me in the Carolinas. Damn it! No, that was a little joke between he and I. And so when I left the Carolinas, I went back home. Because by now another station was getting ready to come. Okay. And those guys had been in contact with me, what I consider coming back into the market. I'd been gone for a minute. So they felt like maybe I could bring something to the table, I guess, at that point in time. So we were discussing that. And in the midst of that, Jerry's here. He calls and said, hey, we got a situation. They want to talk to you, see if you're interested. You consider coming to Shreveport. I said, Shreveport? Shreveport? So, man, we just left in Carolina, right? Shreveport?
They don't want to hear about no Shreveport. Yeah.
But I said something earlier that resonated with me.
Okay.
I was a mama's boy. So part of me going back home was because when I would always look at the map and go, I'm too far from home to, like Thanksgiving holidays, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get back closer home. So I'm home and I come down, and I'd always driven through Shreveport a number of times, obviously going in those directions, right? But so I came in, and nice people. This was KMJJ day.
Okay.
And they made an offer, and I thought about it. And a month and a half later, 2 months, something like that, I came down, and it just kind of fell into place, man. I was blessed.
And it's the program director, right?
Yeah, I came in as and mornings.
Okay.
And it was just it was a blessing, man. It was a good feel. It was a good fit. I could see the market had a lot of potential, a lot of things that I felt like I could, put my hands on, so to speak, but within time and all that kind of stuff. But God had his own way of doing things. So he let me see it. And then, okay, it didn't work out. We got into a little bit, once again, I mentioned to you about athletics. So back then, like all those moves I was making was by contract. So, I come in, so, it was like back then on air, if you're trying to change your sound, you would hire somebody like me to come in and just shock the market. And that was kind of my thing. And there's some things you can do to do that. And so that was the premise a little bit of coming into Shreveport. Not out, maybe the word shock is a little bit, but to definitely change it and take it in another direction. And we were blessed to be able to do some things, but unfortunately, after the first year, we weren't able to work out the numbers. So, but I had the Dallas thing, remember I mentioned that, already brewing. So I ended up going back home. And little did I know, though, within a year and a half, 2 years, I'm probably back in Shreveport. But by then, now, I'm coming back to Shreveport, but not for radio, but for TV. Because, I did TV for 2 years. I knew you.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
I was a news reporter here for 2 years. For the NBC affiliate. Yeah, I know.
And
yeah.
So why go with radio? Well, I guess that's because you've already been in that. But as a radio, I mean, as news, why you just stay with news?
I can make more money doing radio. I'm being honest with you. And it's no reflection or insult toward anybody, but I could just make more money doing radio than TV at that point. Yeah, it you got to realize I'm going back, man. God, it's crazy. I'm going back over 20 years ago. So some of what we see imaging wise of us in certain positions, those positions weren't as available, if you will. So, God, I don't mean to indict the situation, but it was just different back then. I mean, it was different. I like that word.
I understand that.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I did news for a while.
So when you come back around this second time, I guess you saying you're gonna be here, you're gonna settle here and whatnot, and grow it. You start to, just like you saw hip hop coming into it, and well, hip hop is one thing. You saw gangster rap coming into it, but now you're in a different market. This ain't Dallas, this ain't Carolinas, and now this whole different sound is starting to come around. So how do how do you start to look at that now? Do you look at it as like you looked at it like as hip hop or
like
rap
now?
was, or back when? Let me say, right now we're going through we're known as Ratchet, right? This is Ratchet City, you know what I mean? So as the Ratchet sound was starting to come across,
okay, I see what
you're saying. Was like, did you know how to I know how to engulf this and bring it up loud, or was it the same thing as you saw as gangster rap, or how was that for you?
Well, first off, by the time that the Ratchet sound, if you will, was developing, unfolding, understand as a programmer, I kind of get to pick and choose. People don't realize that, but that's what I do. That's what I've done. And then I've always, this is our first time having this kind of in-depth talk, but I've always said that I'm only as good as the people around me. I gotta have a squad. I was part of a squad back in the day with the history I was giving you. I wasn't always the guy, it was cool being a part of the squad,
Right.
But so I'm only as good as that squad. So understand, as I'm developing and kind of molding the structure, and that music is starting to happen, but then I also have the tools, if you will, of some other talent that I'm nurturing, that it bridges. So now it's safe for me to let it have growth, let it have length, let it have, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because on radio, people ask me all the time, they'll approach me about it. Can you play this song or that song, especially? And I got love for the locals, but a lot of times they don't understand what I deal with. It's not about that this is that song and whatever the case. I remember sharing this with somebody. I said, well, all right, so you bring me your song. I say, am I able to take your song? And for now, I'll just give you am I able to take that song and play that between Future and Kendrick Lamar? Can I put your song in between? If you know the answer to that, I didn't ask you, would you like to hear it between that? Can I place it between that and the radio stays the same?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
That's what I do for a living. I'm that meticulous. I can hear it. And thank you, Lord. But so a lot of times you get that look like, whoa, right? Because it's like you kind of put. I said it's not to put the song down at all, but it's production quality. Content, right? I mean, it's a lot of things that go there. So going back to the Ratchet thing.
Come on, man.
The Ratchet, I couldn't play every Ratchet song. Couldn't do it. The ones that bubbled, like, But even then, when do we play it? Couldn't play it at 10 o'clock in the morning. You could, but that ain't what I'm doing. Right? But we can't drown you out with it at 9 o'clock at night either. It's got to be a blend. So some of that secret sauce of decision making would be me a lot of times just popping up at the club and just walking in. No one knows why I'm there. I'm there. I'm cool. You see me? Hey, how you been? But I'm not going to come up. You've been, on the box. Let's say if you were on the box at that point in time in life, I wouldn't tell you, hey, play me this song or that song. I'm going to just watch and see what's coming up, why it's coming up, and the reaction of people why it's coming up. Yeah. And then when I get back to work on Monday, I'm like, okay, what was that song? Or what was this? Or how many times, when did that start happening? And give me two of 5 songs that you got to have. I don't want the 5 songs. I want them 2.
It's gonna hit each time. That's gonna be able to play in between that Kendrick and.
I hope I ain't tell.
Come on! You just gave some sauce right there. You just gave.
So at that point, some of the guys through the years that, you know, maybe I showed a little favor to, and as they got to know me, that was just because what they were doing, not for me to have any expectations of anything. So if we happen to show each other love of, hey, you know, if I have an event, they're there, or whatever the case, that was just all a part of that. That wasn't, unfortunately, a lot of people, they get the misnomer of the rumors of how the music industry, and I'm not telling you that those parts aren't there as well, because they are, but the truth of the matter is I'm doing it for the love. I'm doing it, I want to see growth. I'm about growth. Somebody taught me and showed me and gave me an opportunity of growth. And so I'm about that all the time. My inner circle of people and the guys that you know that I've had a part of their career through these years, they'll tell you that. I mean, that's when I'm sitting them down talking to them, I'm like, what do you think you want to do? Then I'll take it from there. Because, I mean, without that, what do we have? We just have these quick moments. So anyway, sorry.
No, for a person that has, I say, and we had conversations about it, that nurtured the Shreveport sound. We just gonna say the music sound, the entertainment, for everything. You've been around, you've seen a lot of things that. Where do you see like the Shreveport culture going to now? Now they like 50 cents here and all this other stuff like
that.
I
think it's an interesting transition and dynamic that's happening, of opportunity that's presented itself. But like anything else, it has to manifest. And I would urge young Shreveport to prepare yourself as best you can. When I came through, there was no social media. And just all of that. So things are happening now a lot faster. You got, if you, your whole, you just got to be prepared, because you could go from 0 to 100, as they say. That can happen now. The problem is if you're not prepared for that. I don't want to bring the name up because everybody knows the name, but I experienced a scenario with one of our local superstars back in the day, when that scenario was about to blossom. And we were sitting in my office, and I asked them, the group, the crew, were they prepared for success? While they were all hyping it, I said, but are you prepared for success? Oh, yeah, no. I said, no. Because unfortunately, everybody ain't going to be on the bus as it's moving. There's going to be some people fall off. Might be 1 or 2 people right here in the room. Don't know. Hate to see that. The only way to battle against that is that y'all got to bond together. You got to close your eyes and you got to hold on to each other like for dear life, so to speak, to get you from point A to point B, because it is designed, unfortunately, kind of to tear you apart. That's crazy, but that's true.
True.
And, you know, I want to tell you at the beginning, they tried, but this business is a rough business. I'm going to just leave that there. I won't call the names. If they were listening to your podcast, they're going to know. Yeah. Because I got love for everybody. I got love for them. You hate to see things, unfortunately, but life is going to happen. Transitions, whatever. But anyway, yeah. But I think there's a lot of opportunity, but it doesn't mean also there's opportunity for everyone. So do you make yourself one of those choice few? You know, I think, and then it gets into the thing of, you know, you can be a jack of a lot of trades, but you're not a master of any one thing. That probably isn't the best scenario.
Into what, like, into how our culture is now? Why are you saying that?
Because I think there's a lot of people want to be businessmen or women. Yeah, I'm over here at this spot. I got this spot now. But I would want to challenge them with all due respect to their aspiration and their grind, how much they prepared for it. And did you really prepare to be in business? Did you prepare to try to have success? You get where I'm going? No matter how big or small. I think 50 is coming in, bringing this huge moment of opportunity and bright lights, which is very interesting. But local Shreveport, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? Do you sit and observe? Do you sharpen your skills to where you are possibly of value to a scenario or situation? Do you sit on the side and just be a fan? I don't know, but those are the things. But because it's social media, social media, I think sometimes creates these falsehoods that you almost can do anything at any moment. You can go from rags to riches. I'm like, okay, hold on. There's a big old gap in between those two words that you don't realize. And that part of it, that's what you got to figure out and study. So when it comes to the music, the only thing I'm concerned about with the young generation with the music is, okay, once again, I don't want to pick on artists, but because we definitely play them. But some of the artists, I listen to them and say, in 10 years, would that be a good oldies but goodies song to play? And if the answer to that is no, then what in the world are we doing? Because you can't tell me that, and this one may sound like OG now.
Okay.
Why is it that you take the lineage of Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Commodores, Mays, we just can go down this list, and that music sounds just as good now as it did then, and in some cases maybe even slightly better? I just question that. I didn't say that. I know that because I can't look into the future, but I would ask that question. I mean, if all of the, how should we say, derriere shaking music that's out there, okay, it can have its moment. And for fun, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. But if you're trying to carry on the torch, which you want to think these musicians and artists are trying to do, because what happened before them? Because if not, the music will just die.
True.
I don't want the music to die. I don't think you guys want the music to die.
No.
So, but it's interesting. I'm like, okay, you can see length and down the road future with John Legend.
Okay.
I think there's a couple of R&B younger artists that's in that vein, kind of. But once again, I don't want to put some that because some of these folk I know. But yeah, I just question that part of it. Is it going to be longevity? You know, you can have movements. You can have all of that. I'm with all that.
Yeah.
But see, and what's happened is you don't have a development anymore. Radio, music game, sports. We watch people, they go from the youngsters to pee-wee football to middle school to this, right? Right?
Something to develop.
The music ain't happening that way anymore.
What they say,
somebody in the bathroom and they made a song and because it got 1 million streams, you're a star now. What does that mean? You got, and now you got 10 million streams. So now they just sent you a check for that conversation, $300,000, money you ain't never had in your life. What you do? That's not a good scenario. that we need to we just need some growth. I think we need to not so much take a step back, but just make sure you're trying to learn as much and get as much information along the way as you can. Because if not, it's gonna always be somebody on the other side watching you and knowing you didn't do your homework.
Right.
And that's with music, that's with business. That's yeah.
Okay. Well, as I think of you as a mentor. When we have conversations and stuff like that, I really want to give you your flowers now.
Thank you, man.
What I mean? I say I appreciate you for everything you've been doing. Yeah. And I know a lot of conversations that I done had with like Scooter Man and stuff like that.
That's my radio sign.
Right. They spoke highly on you. You know what I mean? So I want, like I said, I had to call you, get this interview from you. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
And we gotta talk more. Because
there's
more things I gotta.
I knew I kind of touched. You got me to touching on stuff that I hadn't talked about it.
There's stuff they need to know though. They don't know about this Quenn. But man, look into the camera and give some advice to a person like myself that's trying to be where you at, or that's just need inspiration and everything, and like tell them how they can contact or just listen to you on the radio, where they can listen to you at.
Oh well, I mean everybody can find me. 1021 R&B and Throwbacks, 1021 KDKS. You can stream us at kdks.fm. And then of course my other station was 1037 The Beat.
Come on now.
Now you'll hear me doing a lot of commercials and stuff like that over there all the time. So I'm there. I'm here. If you got a community event or something like that you're trying to do, the door is always open. I mean, that's part of what we're there for, is to make sure we get the word out about different things and inform. Because we're all in this together. As I always say all the time, we're just one big family. It's like we cousin them on a mama, daddy, sister side.
Yeah.
First, second, or third removed. That's funny. But so I'm always there. So hit me up if there's something that my door is always open to talk. Sometimes I get to moving around because I got a couple of other things that I have going on, like my business here and that kind of things. But it's not meaning that I won't stop, and I don't think about, man, I really wanted to talk to somebody or something like that, and give them that 5 minutes to say, hey, what's up, or this, and I don't claim to know everything. Hey, I'm learning every day just like anybody else. You're never too old to learn and to share. That's what makes our community and our culture strong. One other thing, I'm not sure if this is going to air probably, hopefully before the election.
Okay.
And if it does, I'm urging you to go vote.
Come on now.
Now, look at me. I'm saying go vote. Even though I didn't say a name, go vote. Because I remember a time, I remember a time when they were going back and forth for the King holiday. I remember those times. I remember talking to Jesse Jackson about that. Not necessarily trying to name drop, but they're just part of my little history. And for us to have an opportunity from back then to now, and the levels of history that we have an opportunity to make happen, to become a reality, how do you not vote? How do you not vote? So, let's go vote. Make sure our country is kind of cool where we can go from one end of the block to the other and things are fine. And not have all this craziness going on that's right in our face. They have a new way of saying really the same thing that they used to say in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s about us. Go vote.
Well, I appreciate you coming through the Dojo. This is your first time. Don't let it be your last time coming through, man.
No, man. I'll come back through, And if it's in the weather, colder weather, I need a slice of sweet potato pie.
I got you. Ain't that wrong? Well,
or some tea cake.
This is DJ Tronn with Coolin Dojo. We'll be back next time. I'll holler at y'all.
All right, y'all.